Welcome to Sensuality. Today we're going to make a perfume from start to finish. It is my own formula and it is based on the correlation between cedarwood atlas and rose. A couple of things before we begin. When making a perfume, the normal practice is to use a set of scales. This is so we can accurately reproduce our perfume further down the line. However, today I won't be using a set of scales because I have already composed this perfume and I already have the formula written down. Number two, the correct way to make a perfume is to use plastic pipettes. This is to prevent the cross-contamination of your oils. However, again, I won't be using plastic pipettes today. This is for two reasons. Number one, I don't have enough plastic pipettes to make this perfume. And number two, I think that in the beginning, it is perfectly acceptable to use a glass pipette. I think that when we start new hobbies, we need to make them as accessible as possible. And yeah, we often make them as cheap as possible as well. Plastic pipettes don't particularly break the bank. But yeah, it is probably one of those areas where we would save a cost and we would purchase a glass pipette and yeah, rinse it out in alcohol in between each use. I think the most important thing is just to keep your inspiration burning. You need to keep yourself motivated and you just need to ride that creative energy. You will naturally adopt better practices once you garner some respect for your perfumery. So I wouldn't worry about being 100% correct in the beginning. I don't think it's necessary. It's just important to get started, begin your journey, and it will progress as you go along. So we will begin by adding the base notes, then we will move on to the heart notes, and finally we will add the top notes. So in no particular order, we will start by adding 5 drops of Bacdanol. Now, Bacdanol is a sandalwood molecule. It is creamy and milky and gives the impression of freshly cut sandalwood. Next, we will add 4 drops of coumarin. Coumarin is best described as having the distinct smell of newly mown hay. We will now add 10 drops of Iso-E Super. Iso-E Super has a very pleasant smell. It is dry, it is woody, it is cedar-like, albeit it has a very synthetic cedar smell, and you will find this in nearly all modern day perfumes. Now we will add 3 drops of patchouli. Patchouli is not a material that I would use in abundance. I never really use more than 2 to 3 drops. I find that it can really muddy the base notes if you use more of it. However, I do love using patchouli. Patchouli has a great mystique to it. It has a real depth. It is a very ethereal oil, and yeah, I would love to find a way to use it in larger amounts without it having a negative effect on the rest of the perfume. But yeah, I really have great things to say about patchouli. It really does have a richness and it has a real soul to it. Now we will add 7 drops of cedarwood atlas. Cedarwood atlas is a very important material for this perfume, I feel. Cedarwood atlas is very warm, very woody, very dry, slightly oily. It is, yeah, a real strange one, I think. It definitely has a very mature smell to it. Next we will add 2 drops of garum balsam. Garum balsam is a very resinous oil. It is also a little reminiscent of patchouli. I think for that reason, it really works in this perfume composition. But yeah, we are only going to add 2 drops. Next, we will add 2 drops of tobacco absolute. This is a 2% dilution in ethanol. Tobacco at full strength is very pungent, can definitely be used to create a real masculine note. However, in this dilution, it smells more like sweet pipe tobacco. We will now add 2 drops of oak moss absolute. This is a 5% dilution in DPG. It is very sexy, very earthy, very mossy. Now we add 3 drops of Peru balsam. Peru balsam is similar to Toulouse balsam and benzoin in smell. It is vanillic, it is sweet, it has a very pleasant, very sensual smell. Now we will add 2 drops of amyris. Amyris is a material that I haven't used a lot, so I don't have a lot to say about it. It is said that it has quite a cedar-like smell. I don't know whether I would agree with that or not at this point. Maybe you can let me know in the comments below what you think of amyris. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about it. But in this perfume, we're going to use 2 drops. Next, we will add 1 drop of aldehyde C18. Aldehyde C18 is a coconut material. We're just going to use 1 drop. It is very tenacious, very strong. So for that reason, we are just going to add a little bit. I think that it will just help the creamy, milky, lactonic qualities of the cedar wood and the bacchanal. It's probably not going to be detectable by its smell in the final perfume composition. I do think that it definitely has its place in the perfume. Yeah, we're going to use 1 drop. Now we will add 3 drops of benzyl salicylate. Benzyl salicylate is one of my favorite materials. It is a synthetic. It is quite vanillic, dare I say a little rosy. It definitely is musky. It's very delicate, I would say very feminine. And yeah, I really love the smell of benzyl salicylate. And that concludes the base notes. So now we will move on to the heart notes. We will start by adding 10 drops of hedione. Hedione is a jasmine material. Although it doesn't have a very profound jasmine smell, it is used mainly for its effect on the overall perfume, and in particular floral notes and the heart notes in general. We're going to use 10 drops of that. Next, we will add 6 drops of a French rose accord. Now we will add an equal amount of ylang ylang. Ylang ylang is a very fresh, very fruity, very tenacious floral. It has a very beautiful smell. Next, we will add 2 drops of basil. I have a linalool basil. This is an essential oil. I wouldn't really use this material in large quantities. I don't like the overall smell of it. It is very strong, it is very cloying, and yeah, it works in a small amount when you're using something like rose. It really blends well with the rose and just helps to build that heart. Yeah, it's not really something that I really get excited about using, but for this perfume composition it really does work. Next, we will add 2 drops of lilial. Lilial is a very beautiful muguet, lily of the valley synthetic. I really love it. I add it to every perfume in a small amount. I really think that it helps to build that beauty profile in the heart. It is a delight to work with, a real pleasure to smell. And yeah, if you haven't smelled lilial, you really need to buy some and smell it. It is really beautiful. Now we will add 2 drops of floral ozone. Floral ozone is a fantasy smell. It smells like fresh air. In small amounts, it can impart a real freshness, a real lightness and an airiness to your perfume. However, in larger amounts, I do think that it has the effect of making your perfume more feminine. Even if you have a really masculine smelling perfume, floral ozone in a large amount is definitely the way to go if you want to change that dramatically. Now we will add 4 drops of rosemary. Rosemary is another material that really works with the rose accord. Rosemary is slightly minty, very herbaceous, yeah, I quite like the smell of rosemary. Now we will add chamomile blue. This is a 2.5% dilution in ethanol. Chamomile blue is also known as German chamomile, and it has the smell of sweet straw. We will add 10 drops. Next, we will add 6 drops in total of a hops CO2. This is a 10% dilution in ethanol. It's very herbal, very boozy, very yeasty, somewhat green. It's a very, very pungent material. However, it really works with that rose accord again. You can't really detect that smell in the overall composition. It is used basically for its behavior with that rose accord. So it's another oil which just really helps to build that character profile of the heart. And that concludes the heart notes. Now we will begin with the top notes. We will start with Verdox and we will add 4 drops. Verdox is a very fruity material and resembles the smell of green apples. Now we will add 8 drops of mahagonate. Mahagonate is a very beautiful material to work with. It is another synthetic. It's very, very diffusive, very woody, very herbal, reminiscent of laurel leaf. I definitely think as well that this wouldn't be out of place in a Fahrenheit accord, because when I smell it, Fahrenheit is exactly what I think of. It's a very, very beautiful material. Now we will add 2 drops of juniper berry, which is the main ingredient of gin. Juniper berry is very refreshing, very peppery, and somewhat similar to cypress oil. Next we will add 3 drops of bergamot. Bergamot is to the top notes what patchouli is to the base notes, in my opinion. It is another oil that has a real mystique about it. It has a great depth. It has an old soul. It is more than just a citrus oil, and it is a great blender. You can use large amounts of bergamot and not destroy your perfume. It really helps other oils blend together better. And last but not least, we will add 1 drop of peppermint oil. Now, the peppermint oil is an important ingredient for me. I think it really transforms this perfume, and I think it's responsible for giving the perfume an interesting element. I think before adding this 1 drop, the perfume is fine, smells beautiful, the perfume is very smooth. But once you add this 1 drop of peppermint oil, you really do give the perfume a real character. It really does transform the perfume. It makes it far more interesting. And I do believe that it is also responsible for a little bit of the muskiness of this perfume. Obviously, there are other players like the benzyl salicylate, as well as the correlation between the rose accord and the cedarwood. I think all combined, they add an animalic, musky, earthy note to this perfume. But yeah, definitely smell it before you add the drop of peppermint oil, and then smell it afterwards. But indeed, after 1 week or 2 weeks of maturing your perfume formula, it really will smell more beautiful. It will be quite strong and quite prominent in the beginning, but once it has a chance to mature, it really will calm down and it will just blend really, really nicely with the rest of the oils. And that concludes the perfume. That gives you a 10 milliliter bottle at a 16% strength. So that concludes today's video. I hope you have enjoyed watching as much as I have enjoyed making it. If you would like to see more videos like this, please let me know in the comments below. If you would like to go over any of the processes that I have talked about today, just head on over to my website, www.sensuality.de, and you will be able to find everything you need there.